Republic of Congo had the DR Congo Summit, the Uganda DR Congo Summit. The particular one could see a lot of opportunities around, and most probably because the DRC is now part of the East African community. The excitement is there. Everyone is actually excited because the traders pretty much think it is the opportunity for them to utilize this same space that the DRC is providing to at least go in there and get that market, tap into that market. Because when you look at the market that it comes with, the DRC being a very huge country, heavily populated, the possibilities are there. With the fact that retail shops in the DRC have most probably got goods that are imported from countries like Brazil, United Kingdom, and the others, but most probably none from the East African market. So the East African countries or member states do think that with this particular one coming on board, going to give a chance to the Uganda to at least, and the traders, to have a chance to go in there and make some good money. It is July 1st, the first day of the financial year. Okay, let's get this up and running pretty much into a situation. Well, with the SMB Insight here, I mean, it's the economic situation. Everything is now expensive. So with the SMB Insight, we are going to be looking at how we are going to handle, one, the issue of business amidst insecurity in Congo. And here, Sarah Kajingo, who is a board member, Private Sector Foundation, highlights something on this particular one where she says Uganda should focus on value addition and leave security matters to the heads of state. Then also, Audrey Rabogo, who is a presidential and special duties, does believe Ugandans can export goods and tap into that market. How true is that? That is still with the SMB Insight here. And also Edith N. Mwanje, the permanent secretary of the Ministry of East African Affairs, believes that language, Kiswahili, as well as French that is being used in the DRC, should be implemented among the learners here in Uganda if we are to smoothen transition and smoothen trade amongst the two countries, Uganda, DRC, and all that. Welcome to the SMB Insight.
Language, as you heard from the first Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of ESC, she talked about taking a cabinet memo to cabinet to make a decision that here in Uganda we start training the children and in Kiswahili, and we make it examinable. And what she quoted is that already the summit decided, the summit of ESC, their heads of state, they decided that both Kiswahili and French will become East African language, official languages. That is a crisis now for us in Uganda. We must do everything possible to make sure that we at least get on board. In as far, if we can't get French immediately, let's start with Kiswahili. And in the program that actually the first Deputy Prime Minister is proposing, we are going to have the laboratories for training people, old people, mature people, business people in Kiswahili. I think we think that we should have labs where everybody can run. After work you can come and you are trained in Kiswahili. You must get the basics, and it's very difficult to learn because actually part of the words are actually Bantu words which most of us speak. Now, when I first joined the Ministry of ESC, I realized that we were going, my people could not even find a way, could not ask for food, the people who were in the ministry. So I made an arrangement and we started being trained. And you cannot believe that in 2 months, taking 2 hours every day, the people were able to speak Kiswahili, feel comfortable in Arusha and in the rest of. And then what I did thereafter, I made an arrangement for any ministry that were able. Then I worked with the private sector, and that's the Juakali, the people who are, I don't know what are they, the small businesses, because actually the lady were in trouble. So we quickly trained the business community, the people who trade with the Tanzania and trade with Kenya. And in a very short time, they were actually able to speak Swahili, count in Kiswahili, and that kind of thing. So part of the program that we shall be handling is to work with the Ministry of Education, all the people, even those, because now we have come up with a register of people who are not Swahili and are willing to train. We can also use this as a binding mechanism, whereby we ask people from maybe United Republic of Tanzania, maybe DRC, Kenya, to send us people who can train. But we must first make the mechanism, the arrangements around here in Uganda to allow them to come over and train, as we also go to train their people in English. Already Burundi partnering with us, they feel that they want to improve their English, as we also improve our Kiswahili and French. So arrangements are going on. This is going to be taken at the highest level possible in Uganda with the cabinet, and then we shall give you information on how you can access the trainings for both French and Swahili. We need the language because we have taken too long. You can imagine that in East Africa, we are the last country which is hurrying to get on board with Swahili, but we shall do that.
On Sunday in South Sudan, in the city of Juba, and I went to a supermarket and I took some pictures, and I saw about 40% of the shelf was Ugandan, but close to those shelves there are products from Punjabi, from very well packaged, meaning that they are attractive to the eye for a consumer. So that if Uganda does not improve its productive capabilities, that space competitive advantage. It's a very good question. That's why we focus on exports, because exports give us the eyes to see what other companies and other firms are doing so that we can improve. Don't have time, I will take you through 4 stages. We're not the first to deal with this. Countries have done stage 1, stage 2, they're in data, they are in high resolution imaging for medicine, but they were like us 40 years ago. I believe we can do it. Finally, someone said, but if you sell everything, won't there be a crisis of products? I welcome that crisis. Eh? It's a nice crisis where you sell everything, suppliers can increase production. See, I'm a shareholder in a milk processing plant. Our installed capacity is 100,000 liters a day, but often we operate at 50% installed capacity because the people who drink milk are only in Jinja, Entebbe and Kampala. So if Congo takes my other capacity of 50,000, that's a very good crisis. I like it, I welcome it. If you ask the sugar people who are holding 200,000 metric tons unsold, really, every year, let there be a crisis of sugar because Congo has taken sugar. If you ask the people of coffee, in fact, coffee is a good re-export because we have a target of $1.5 billion by 2028. We want $300 million in coffee every year. The only way to do it is to produce more and process more and enter the valuable market of Europe and EU. What a nice crisis. If we have more coffee from Congo that we process and put joint labels. So I can go on and on. It's not a crisis. It will force suppliers to improve. The Kayunga pineapple farmers will now have to use more greenhouses instead of just... So it's a nice crisis, my brother, don't worry.
There has been so much going on social media that Uganda was warmly welcomed in the DR Congo. And somebody has asked a question on security on the Private Sector Foundation of Uganda. I would like to reiterate that we have confidence in the mechanism by the heads of state. 2, because we are Ugandans, it is that we are very careful not to inflame situations. And this speaks to how we frame things for discussions, for talk shows. As a country, we must coalesce on a program of how to move. For instance, this current budget is really focusing on value addition, on agribusiness. So many members, so many of the business community are already engaged in adding value, in increasing shelf lives of products. So if we do not expand markets, if we don't penetrate markets, we will soon have surplus. So now, on coalescing on a minimum program, our direction penetrating markets is a common good for Uganda, whatever political persuasion. 2, we are invested in ensuring that there is a favorable environment in both of our countries. And therefore, we are so happy that we are received at the highest level. The Minister for Foreign Trade, Minister for Industries, Minister for Tourism, several high-ranking officials in government of the DR Congo, because we cannot conduct business amid bullets. Capital is a coward, it flees danger and follows safety. So happy that team of businesses and Ugandan government officials, led by the Right Honorable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister Community Affairs, was welcomed by the highest level of DR Congo. So what we see in Goma, and which I have spoken, what we saw later when we had left, this should not be the basis of a major discussion in Uganda, because we inflame the situation and it destroy businesses, destroy export.
Okay, and traders have been urged to focus on value addition and leave matters to do with security to the heads of state, because these are matters that are uncontrollable. These are matters that members of, let's say, pretty much the security issues relay, or traders cannot relate to security, because there is no way you're going to fight unless the government is actually stepping up this particular fight. So that is actually being called upon to focus more on value addition, especially to target that market. That market is rich in the DRC, but it's also to remind the Ugandans to get ready to at least utilize that space and get down to the potentials. How capable, or which particular potential do you have as a trader to utilize it that is available in the DRC? So pretty much a situation, when you look at what Rabogo says, is that he went to South Sudan to realize that there are some stores that have products which are entirely not from the East African Community member states, others from Uganda and all that. But he says that if we can utilize such spaces in countries that are part of the East African Community, where our traders are making money or driving business from that regard, then we can still have a very huge statement in the level of exports if we want to increase our exports. Just recently, during the Presidential Export Awards, we got to realize that our exports have increased tremendously. So which shows you that if we have this potential market, the availability of the African continental free trade as well, then there is a lot of potential that we have as a country, and traders from the private sector, and then from especially the small and medium-sized enterprises, they have the potential to utilize those markets, and the DRC is providing that for us. And that is why we're looking at it in a perspective whereby we can earn something from our engagements with the DRC, and the Democratic Republic of Congo can help us in this particular one, the new member state to the East African Community. And then there's some issue to do with language. Language in the DRC is pretty much, when you look at the languages that are being used in the official languages, would be Lingala, you would think of French, you would think of Kiswahili, more so, and the traders in Uganda who normally go in there speak more of the Kiswahili. Then, when you look at the Ugandan traders, most of them are not very conversant with Kiswahili. They conversant with French. Most of them are actually thinking of a lot of things. Most of the Ugandan traders are more conversant with speaking English, and they are locals here. All languages, Luganda, talk about Lunyankore and all those. So, moving into that perspective of language is one of those key elements that can at least hinder or business. How does it hinder business? If at all you are actually dealing in, you're trying to make any transactions into a foreign country and you don't have, you don't well conversant with the language they are using, or you do not know anything from, let's say, how they are managed, find a very huge challenge. And language barrier has always been a very huge challenge for traders, more so out of the country when someone is actually. That is why in this particular insight, we're actually looking at the fact that language, humans should as well start adopting some foreign languages. Speak of French, Kiswahili at least, so that you can move into the DRC, tap into that market, but when you can easily discuss matters with the people in there in regards to business. Well, meanwhile now, Katurebe Tayebwa, who is also coming up here, has something to say with the SMB no comment. And he highlights on the railway transport. He says that the East African community should look at creating room for a regional East African community railway system. It is more cheaper when it comes to transportation of cargo, because if we would think of let's say water transport, but not all the East African community countries share the water bodies. It's only Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania who share Lake Victoria, and water transport can easily be support movement of cargo. But now the East African community can look at options of having a regional railway system, according to Katurebe Tayebwa. This is the SMB no comment.
80% is the movement of cargo. When we are looking at transport, whether we are using the road or air, those are a bit more expensive in terms of transporting cargo. So the plan for the railway line definitely is there, and it's very important, and this is how it is. In 2013, there was an initiative by our leaders to start what we call corridor integration projects. Originally, it was one project of infrastructure to ensure that cargo can move from Mombasa to the hinterland as possible time and with minimum costs. And as a result of that, 13 more other projects were included on that program, and it became the Northern Corridor Integration Projects. It involves about 4 or 5 countries. The main actors are definitely the Republic of Kenya, Republic of Uganda, Republic of South Sudan, Rwanda, and even the DRC, even if it was not a member of EAC at the time, it was an active member, and the corridor runs from Mombasa on one hand up to Juba, on the other one up to Chisangani, and then Kigali and Bujumbura. So that plan is there. As you may know, that SGR had already started, but because of some financial challenges, it delayed, but the plan is there, and governments are working hand in hand to ensure that the railway lines, both the standard gauge railway and the meter gauge railway, can be worked on, basically to reduce the cost of moving cargo from one place to the other. And besides that, you know, the cheapest means of transport is water. And you understand River Congo, which is the largest rivers we have, is a navigable river. After the railway line reaches Kisangani, it would be easier to use River Congo to transport cargo up to Kinshasa. Also, you know, Uganda and DRC have a huge lake. Is it what you call Mwitanzije? That's Lake Albert. It is also a lake that can be used to transport goods between Uganda and DRC. And also, if you look at Lake Tanganyika down south, you can move cargo up to Bujumbura. Then you can access the lower part of DRC using Lake Tanganyika. So besides the railway transport, the region is looking at other means of transport: railway, road, water, and air combined. The timing is what I cannot tell, but the will and the plan, both of them are.
Okay, and the plan is there for regional railway system, and maybe they will try to merge the East African Standard Gauge Railway to at least also hit the DRC. High expectations there, but pretty much a situation whereby you will be more optimistic and the best to come or best to surpass. And well, but in the long run, we expect a lot of things to happen still, but still hopeful that the DRC's potential market space utilized by us Ugandans to at least go in there and make more money and trade more goods. That the major goal is, or where the major emphasis is. And for the people in Uganda, obviously, we want to see things happening, and the traders want to have profits. That is something I should definitely say. The traders are hopeful. Traders feel they should utilize this space, go and strike the deals. But there's a lot that the traders shouldn't on. For example, the issue to do with insecurities, because the government are working on that. So you add value to that, just do value addition to your products, go in there, strike deals, make business, trade goods, make money, and the world will be a better place for you. And surely that is it for the SMB No Comment and the SMB Insight. Well, this time around we're generally looking at the DRC, Uganda, the Uganda DRC Post Summit Conference or dialogue that did happen yesterday, and they were actually trying to give a brief about the key discussions that did happen over the week, over that particular summit that did happen. So it is all conversations to at least try to give a picture for the Ugandan traders or for the trader community in Uganda about the availability of placements in the market space in the DRC. DRC, which is a new member of the East African Community Bloc, is providing a lot of market potential for East African countries, not only Uganda, because it comes with a vast population that is willing to at least buy products that are exported, rather that are imported from the East African Community member states and into the DRC. So that is where we can draw the line and think most probably and believe that in the next few years, with the DRC providing that market, our traders have plenty of options now. You have Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, the DRC, and then when it comes to the African Continental Free Trade Area, also providing market, huge market space for the African traders across the African continent. That is where we can completely say it is time for the Ugandan traders to take up this tape and strike it definitely. Okay, this is the second hour of the show. When I do return, I've got the topic of discussion and more from the SMB outlets. Good morning.